This week on It's Happening Out. Comedian Kevin Hart's apology is just saying I'm sorry on The Ellen Show enough? Sexy Disney villain Marwan Kenzari plays Jafar. 10-year-old drag kid Lactatia forms the first drag social club for kids. Kirk King, owner of Hamburger Mary, speaks about the hepatitis A scandal. Lifestyle expert NapoleonPlays. Famous trans activist Aaron Phoenix. DJ Diva Power Infiniti. Log Cabin Republican Joe Brookman. And our host, Al Ferguson.
Well, good evening, America. This is It's Happening Out. We are coming to you live from Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that we always affectionately say is the gayest place on planet Earth. We welcome you tonight to a very special show of It's Happening Out. We are back together. This is the first time we've all been back together since the holidays. Aaron Phoenix here sitting next to me is no longer faking sick and has come back to the show. And
Which is why now I'm really sick.
And we really welcome you back.
Thank you.
We thank you for joining us tonight. We have a very interesting show for It's Happening Out. And as you know, first, we ask you to like us, and like us right now. You're able to go through and follow us on the show. We have an online host, Chris Swarner, that's with you tonight, and we ask you to comment. If you like things, click like. If you love things, click the heart. If you hate things about Power and what Power is going to say, then express how much you hate them. It's a lot of fun. We also have our group page. We ask you to join our group page because we have lots of conversation there. And I want to tell you and remind everyone right from the start of the show, this is live. It is not scripted. We haven't planned any of our words. I don't know what any of these people are going to be saying, and it likely will be shocking. In that vein, I want to remind you, we prompted you many of the topics that we're talking about tonight. But this is a live show. And as you can imagine, the great difficulty I've had as being the show barker of this Greatest Showman experience, I do not know which of the lions that are going to eat me tonight.
We're a delight to work with, and you
as
know
a result, I don't know what they're going to say, and we might go long.
I've missed you, Aaron. Thank you.
And we're in a situation where we might have to modify our time as we go because it's live. And if we miss a topic that we said we were going to discuss, we'll pick it up sometime in the future.
And we'll give him severe shit about it at the next meeting.
And I will be broiled royally like a lobster for missing a topic. We'll do the best we can. But the point is, we're live. Everybody understand what we're going to do?
No, please repeat that.
Everybody ready to begin?
Yes, ready.
Let's have some fun talking about gay America and gay culture. First, headlines in the news.
Oh, God.
Guess what? The government is still shut down.
Oh, shocking.
If the shutdown continues until Saturday, this will be the longest shutdown of any president in the history of America. So, before we start to talk about the shutdown, let me remind you a little peppering that I did last week when I asked the cast, is the shutdown going to happen through next week's show? Take a quick look at what the cast said. The one last question, just a yes or no. I'm asking a yes or no. Do you think before we go on air next Thursday, the government will reopen?
No.
No. Yes.
Nope. Okay. All right. I'm curious. Next headline in the news. So,
Al just wanted to show that because I was wrong and optimistic. Shame on me for being a millennial.
apparently our youngest cast member was very optimistic.
Wait, say that one more time.
Our youngest cast member was very optimistic that the shutdown would be over.
Shame on
It
me.
is January 10th, and it is not.
I apologize for having hope and faith in our democracy. Last week, I made the mistake of just calling Donald Trump a dictator. This week, I'm going to go as far as to call him a terrorist because he is doing everything he can to make sure that he instills fear in all of America. He is holding America hostage. We are literally burning, and he refuses to help us in California. And honestly, Joe, I can't do anything but ask you, what do you feel?
Well, let me ask you a question, okay? If you have 400,000 in Texas that you have apprehended crossing the border illegally, and 1 out of 4, okay, you're capturing, that means 1.2 million are crossing and not being captured, and 90% of those crossings are in areas where there is no wall, how are you going to prevent that?
Honestly, there were so many numbers there. I feel like you were just trying to mislead me. You just had like 4 times 2 minus 5. I'm not back in algebra, so I don't know what you just said. But what I can say is that a president is supposed to be in a series of checks and balances, and we're not in that right now. We went over this last week. I know that we had this bombastic conversation.
Really, that's what's happened in this last week since the tape that we showed you from last week's show. The president has done a national address. He's done a national address basically declaring a state of emergency and saying that the border wall is tantamount to a national emergency going on in the United States. After doing that, many or most of the polling shows that the majority of Americans do not agree with the president that it is a national emergency, and most Americans do not agree with the president that we should build a wall. So the
That's
question
from the
is,
fake news.
well, the majority
Sure
of
it is,
reporting of polling shows
notice
that.
we never had fake news until we got a fake president.
It's funny because
The big question here.
He won the election.
He did, and
With
and
Russia's help.
The big question is this a national emergency that justifies the complete shutdown of the U.S.
And
government?
I would say that in January of 2017, we had a GOP majority. You had February of 2017, no national emergency. March 2017, no national emergency. April, no national emergency. We can go all the way up until November of 2018, when we have a Democratic majority elected in the House. Now, January 2019, all of a sudden, national emergency. 2 years, it was no national emergency. All of a sudden, it's a crisis.
Right.
Give me a break.
Despite the fact that illegal border crossings are down, actually, as
Yes.
compared to the last decade or
50 years.
Oh, okay.
Border crossings have been down 50 years. We're out of
That
50 years.
specific point, Joe.
Over the last 3.
You go ahead.
No, over the last 3 months, they have been up historically above any of the previous rates because people have incited the caravans to come up and cross the border, and they're crossing it and they're throwing rocks and bottles and things at.
almost like they did at Stonewall.
You mean the legal?
Oh please! That has
Listen,
nothing to do with
when there's
the southern
when there
border.
are-
but haven't we been waiting
when
for the
there are
caravans for
human
3
rights
months?
violations happening, then
You are comparing apples and oranges. Do
No,
not.
I don't
That
think
is
I am.
that is insulting.
Wait,
okay,
so-
that is insulting to compare that. We have people that are trying to come into this nation illegally. You have the highest level of drugs coming across the southern border. You have the highest level of people
Listen,
bringing.
so I understand all these points as to why you're Republican, but what I want to know
no,
is
it has
really
nothing
no.
to do
In
with
all
being
seriousness,
Republican. It
in
has
all seriousness,
everything to do with protecting our
okay,
country.
and that's fine, and I get that. But in all seriousness,
But you
all
don't,
joking
because you're-
aside, what I'd like to know is why do you ride Trump's dick so hard? Because this has nothing to do.
Okay, that's
this has
bullshit
nothing
and
to
that's
do with-
insulting.
this
That
has
doesn't
no-
even.
What does this have to do with
Okay,
Trump shutting down the government
That's
over his
bullshit and
tantrum
that's
that he
insulting.
threw?
It's not a tantrum. He went
Over
in,
not getting his money for his border wall. That's ridiculous.
Okay,
The question-
one
the
one
question-
tenth of 1% of the budget is $5 billion for the wall. Okay, and
Which is going to do nothing.
that's
$5 billion
completely
in
untrue.
a hole.
That's false. You're making a false statement because it has been proven
Joe,
that border
here
walls
is-
stop it
here
by
is
90
not-
to 95%.
That's why we have a wall on the Canadian
Here
border,
is
right?
not a
That is
false
completely
statement.
false.
Here is
You
not-
cannot compare the
here is
Canadian
not-
border with New Mexico because Mexico.
Because those are brown people,
Here
I know.
is-
Okay, that is insulting as well.
Here-
There is nothing about this
me about
that
it. It is insulting.
racial.
Here-
That's stupid.
Here is a factual statement. The president had, to Power's point, the president had 2 years to implement this and could not, principally with complete control of the government, because he couldn't get, and you can make a slur on Paul Ryan if you want, but it doesn't address the point. The majority, you could not get a Republican majority to support the president on the wall because it was never a national emergency. So why now is it a national emergency when he's lost the House?
It has been his top priority since he became president. And whether or not Paul Ryan failed or Mitch McConnell failed, okay, at the end, Ryan and a $5 billion package did pass
Joe,
the
I
House
agree with
and went
you.
to the Senate.
I agree with you.
So
I agree with you.
Okay.
My question is very specific, which I'm hoping you will answer. The president couldn't get the majority of the Republicans to agree with him. So even if he wants it, he's not going to get it. So what's the justification for the shutdown?
Because it's part of negotiating to get what he needs to be done.
That's
But
a
he's-
to the
tantrum.
border wall.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
All right.
and it's a tantrum by Chuck and Nancy,
Okay.
okay? Because, no, wait a
I'm not
minute,
talking
wait a
about,
minute.
they ain't my president. I'm
Oh.
talking about the president of this country.
Okay,
That's
no,
whose tantrum
stop
I'm
it,
concerned
because the
about.
president went into a negotiation with Chuck and Nancy, and he said, if I open
lost.
up the... No.
He's lost.
If I open up
Joe,
the
I
government,
agree
will you
with
give
you.
me
I
the border wall?
let's
And she
grant-
said no.
Joe
Go
Brookman
away.
is 100% right. But still, there's going to be no wall. You're 100% right because you won't answer my question.
I did.
Because of the Republican leadership in the Senate and the House, for 2 years, he could not get it. He has now lost the midterm election and the House is in Democratic control. He can't negotiate because he is not going to get it. So when
That's
he
your
accept?
conclusion.
But that's why we're at shutdown at on the verge of the longest shutdown in history. He's not going to get it.
In Joe's defense,
Wait and see.
even Pelosi and a couple of other people in 2013 signed the Gang of Eight bill, which would have supplied 700 miles of fencing on the border that they're now fighting against him just because he's the president. But I do have a question for you.
Wait, I apologize because we've been at this for 7 minutes. I'm going to move on. However, Joe throws a comment away, which I want to again put as a topic. Yes or no? Joe says it's just a wait. Basically, your point is it's still going to come, and the president is likely going to be successful to accomplish what he wants. My question is, next Thursday, we'll come back on the air. Will we still be in shutdown? Yes or no?
Say that again.
Next
will we be in
Thursday, when
shutdown?
we come back on the air,
Yeah.
will we be in shutdown? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hope no.
And?
Yes.
We're still going to be in shutdown. Now, I want to point out, Joe, you're saying the U.S. government over this national security issue of national importance is going to continue to be shut down a week from now. And my point, which I want you to be able to hopefully address better next Thursday, is he's not going to get what he wants. Is it possible the shutdown could go on for months? Because he cannot overcome the Democrats in the House. They control the money. 1 week from tonight, we will ask this question again.
What is your answer, by the way? Yes or no?
The answer is yes, we're still going to be in shutdown.
Okay.
Well, Homeland
Okay.
Security, ironically, continues to take the biggest hit.
I want to move on. Again, it's a big issue. We have some slides that we incorporated in terms of the effect, but I think our conversation was better, so I'm going to move on. Let's again try to lighten up the situation of the reality that we live in America by doing that by taking some shots. And let's go to original gel shots. We play a game each week where it's an agree or disagree. We clearly start the show in disagreement. Let's see where we can find some agreement. Before we begin, let's watch this in terms of original gel shots. It's a game shot. It's our drinking game. I remind the cast they have not seen these questions, so I'll ask Erin to keep her eyes off my paper.
Who's?
All right, Erin's. All right, so here's how it works. I'm going to ask a question. You don't touch the shots. If you agree, you pick up the shot, you open it up, you take the shot, and you see that they agree. If you don't agree, don't touch the shot. Power, by the way, last week caught up very close, not completely, but caught up very close to Joe in terms of the amount of the gel shot that was put in his mouth. So we'll see what happens this week. All right, everybody understand our rules? Mm-hmm. Yes?
Indeed.
All right.
Apparently it's not putting it in your mouth.
First question. I have had sex that I have forgotten about due to being drunk or on drugs.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I've had sex blank.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Many times over.
I'm curious. In that many times over.
Many times over.
I'm curious. Do any of you have a beer goggle regret in
Yes.
terms of those?
Yeah. How quick I answered? Yes.
The walls of the sawmill to
And
talk.
just to point out, America,
She's taking her time on this one.
Yeah.
She's
you
trying to be a
seem
lady.
enjoying that shot.
it's one bite
We
for
have
each
a
person that he can
question
recall
right
offhand that he forgot.
For that, I'd have to do everybody's shot.
Hashtag truth. All right. Question number 2. I'd swallow that.
Oh.
I have told a lie on this show.
Say what?
Told
I have told a lie on this show.
I said I like you last week. Let's go.
I may have bit my tongue, but I got no reason to lie.
No lies?
No.
Really?
No.
I said what I said. It's truthful.
I choose
100%
my
of the
words
time.
very carefully.
All right.
Really?
I knew.
I have-
Yeah, shocking.
Really?
I haven't taken a shot yet.
America, do you believe that? Hashtag Al's truth.
Yeah. All right. Question number 3. Being on this show has caused me to change my mind on a subject I never imagined I would. Being on this show has caused me to change my mind on a subject that I never imagined I would.
Wait, what was it, Joe?
Let me take my shot first.
Okay, you can take a few. I just want to know.
It didn't.
How did we convince
Nothing's
the
caused you to
Republican?
change your mind.
Not from this show.
Wait.
There was a lot of tongue in that, Al.
How about you believing that it is possible to be a log cabin Republican and like them? Before the show. Yeah. Take the shot, bitch. Thank you, America.
Oh, wow.
And she picks banana.
Just so y'all know, Joe is really the exception.
Okay.
You are a very sweet guy. You're
Okay.
very likable.
All right.
For some reason. Who knows why?
I will say, what has changed, knowing Aaron has changed a lot of my perceptions on transgender and gender fluid information. So that, I have to thank you very, very much.
That's
Come on, guys. That's a clap of anything.
Jury's still out for me on you, but you know.
Wait,
Okay,
America.
okay.
And that's Aaron. That's not even like a good person.
Wait,
Trey.
America. You just watched the Tin Man get his
I
heart.
heard that.
I love you, man.
All right. Question number 4. I'd swallow that. There have been words that have hurt me more than any punch I've experienced. Ooh. No, we've all had that. Yeah.
Has everyone here-
I don't
Most-
think you can be gay
Who's actually
and
been punched
not
at this
drink
table,
to
by the
that.
way?
Mostly.
Who's actually been punched at this table, by the way?
Of course.
Like, okay, I'm just curious. Wait, no one's punched you?
Nobody's ever punched
Oh, America, that's a challenge.
All right.
Come on
Never.
up and just do that sock him in the road thing.
No.
Fix that tonight.
Actually, I was kind of a bully when I was a kid. I fought a lot.
So
As a kid?
people know my name Power Infiniti was actually a name given to me because I used to fight a lot when I was a kid.
Me too.
So
I got
Really?
suspended several times from school for fighting.
not the Infinity part because
The
that's
power.
my house, but Power because I used to fight a lot.
The-
I used to win my fights. That's why they call me Power.
Hello, me too.
Did you
I
get
did
defensive as a kid?
Question number 4 about words that have hurt me more than
Sweet
punched
one.
me, and if I've experienced that, and I just took the shot, mostly because I became friends with Power Infinity, and they had just been, those words
And he protects you.
they cut. Killing me softly with his song.
Okay,
no,
please.
All right.
Anyone else,
Question
please.
number 5. I'd swallow that. I am willing to try new kinks in the bedroom for someone I care about.
Or not.
Or who I don't
Anyone
care
else?
about. Or,
Tuesday's Joe.
I'm
whatever.
saying.
If you're not willing to be adventurous, then what are you willing to be? Like,
You gotta watch it with these questions.
Yeah, we're getting these down
'Cause
quick.
Remember last week I got drunk boo. I almost, did a Napoleon.
Oh. Oh.
That was shade.
My heart. I felt that.
Wait, hashtag Halloween. Whoops.
that's okay. I don't
Clearly,
think
what
that's
happens
shit.
on Wilton
right.
Drive doesn't stay on Wilton.
Gays can be such catty people, and I'm glad as the new generation of gay,
Clearly.
I'm the one that's going to be the kind one.
The new generation of
The new
gay.
generation, bitch!
I can't
Okay.
even believe you put
That's
yourself in
definitely
that
the kind
category.
one.
Okay.
The kind one.
I'd swallow that. Question 6. There is someone on the cast I used to have a crush on, but now I know them, not so much.
By the way,
We're clearly not each other's
Take
type,
it.
as you can tell.
Why?
the hand on the thigh indicates enough. You can take this off.
Oh!
It's not a yes because he still has the
Oh my
crush.
gosh, you became Oh! All right. Ooh. Wait, we're going to quickly move away from this question. All right. Final question, 7. Yes.
hand is back.
Wait, did I do too many shots?
Yes.
Wait, question 7.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
Question number 7. Everybody knows the thing that we're one of our guests tonight from Hamburger Mary's and what's going on with Hamburger Mary's. Question number 7. Our community should do something to help Hamburger Mary's reopen.
We gotta
starts
support our
tonight,
gay
man.
businesses. Or we ain't gonna have any left.
Amen.
All right. So that is
like
our
oysters.
game. I'd swallow that. It gets us off to a good lubrication. And we hope you enjoy it and play with us at home. All right. As I just indicated in the question, wait, I've got to point out one of the comments in our
slowing
live
down.
stream, right? Jesse Lane said, Aaron is my spirit animal right now.
Wait, Jesse,
Thank
why
you.
just right now?
Yeah.
All the time.
All right. Well, let's move on to a special
Appreciate
guest
you.
that we have tonight. You're probably hearing it's making national news of a situation for Hamburger Mary's. Hamburger Mary's in Tampa, Florida, has closed because of health violations. And with hepatitis A and a hepatitis A scare. And many things have come out since its closure, even to the reflection of gay bias. So before we introduce our guests, let's watch this package that we have prepared.
The owner of Hamburger Mary's accuses the Hillsborough County Health Department of inciting a fake hepatitis A scare at his restaurant.
So I want to know why the health department did this to me.
Kurt King, owner of Hamburger Mary's, now speaking out against the Hillsborough County Health Department. That health department alerted the public after they say a Hamburger Mary's worker tested positive for hepatitis A.
This is what we received. It said this employee, hepatitis A, non-reactive. Hepatitis B, non-reactive. Hepatitis C, non-reactive.
So there definitely was a positive test at Hamburger Mary's.
That's what I am saying.
I don't think it's fair. I think they targeted us because we're a gay restaurant, gay-owned, popular gay restaurant.
If you're going to fish, you need to go where the fish are. Half of them report having drug use.
And I feel the health department did me wrong. And I think the community needs to wake up because they did us all wrong.
Well, welcome back. As you can see, it's been quite a week in the situation of the news about Hamburger Mary's. Very specific things being alleged in terms of what has happened of gay bias, even absolute potential gay discrimination, which we're going to talk about for the first time. Tonight is the first national live discussion about the issue at Hamburger Mary's, and we would like to introduce the as a guest the owner of Hamburger Mary's, who currently also has additional Hamburger Mary franchises, and he is coming to us from Tampa, Florida, Kurt King. Kurt, welcome to It's Happening Out. So, how are you holding up, Kurt?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am good. In full disclosure, I've known Kurt for about a decade. I come from the Tampa Bay area, and I've been to this Hamburger Mary's in question many, many times. What I was saying is, without summarizing the issues, because we've already done that for you, there was the hepatitis A scare. They came in and did the closure for one day. We saw the director for Hillsborough County Health Department talk about where the fish are, implying that they did it because it was a gay restaurant and a gay business. What's the current situation for you at Hamburger Mary's?
Hamburger Mary's is still closed. The ACLU's teaming up with me, and we're filing some paperwork tomorrow.
Good.
And right now, we're just trying to keep Hamburger Mary's, Brandon and St. Pete open.
Kurt, we understand in the reporting that testing was done on the employee that was accused or thought to have hepatitis A, that it turned out that the employee did not have hepatitis A, and actually, while the health director at Hillsborough County Health Department said there was an epidemic going on in Florida, while they were investigating 5 restaurants and more than 500 people that had hepatitis A, there was no confirmation of hepatitis A in Hamburger Mary's at all. Is that correct?
They said our employee tested positive for hepatitis A, and the day of the closure, we had that record showing that our employee tested negative, which is non-reactive, to A, B, and C.
Oh, wow.
The director of Hillsborough County Health Department vaguely says, claiming under HIPAA laws, that they can't provide the documentation of the proof that the employee had hepatitis A. And while we have all in the press pressed him to redact any of the information that would support the HIPAA laws but still prove that the employee had hepatitis A, he has refused to do so. What do you think about that?
That's their position, and that's the position that they're taking. My position is my employee gave me results from the hospital showing they were non-reactive while they were still in the hospital.
Why would the director of the health department in Hillsborough County keep secret the hepatitis A breakout for all of the locations except Hamburger Mary's, and then when this was revealed, not provide the documentation of the proof that hepatitis A existed at Hamburger Mary's? Why would they do this?
They used Hamburger Mary's, I feel, because we're a gay-owned and very popular restaurant, gay-owned and gay-operated, and I feel they wanted people to get their new vaccine out, so they used us to help get that out. The first week when they released it, over 600 people went in and got the vaccine.
You're suggesting that Hillsborough County Health Department used Hamburger Mary's to propel the vaccine for hepatitis A by claiming that Hamburger Mary's, a gay establishment, had hepatitis A breakout. Is that correct?
Was correct. They claim that one of our employees had hepatitis.
So a question for you, Kurt. Because of how an outbreak happens, has the ACLU or your lawyers submitted a FOIA request? Because by law, they have to contact anyone that has been associated with or the vaccines and find where they cross over or what restaurants that they visited in order to assess the loci and report it back to the CDC. Those are numbers that hopefully your lawyers could find and find out exactly how many were attributed to Hamburger Mary's or not.
Well, out of 559 people in the state of Florida that had hepatitis A, not one of them by the health department not one of them were linked back to Hamburger Mary's.
So you do know that. That's ridiculous.
Yes. So by them saying not one, how could the employee had it if they say not one was linked back to Hamburger Mary's?
One of the things that I thought was interesting in this story for you, Kurt, is Hillsborough County has a checkered past on gay rights. They had an ordinance passed by the county commission for more than 15 years that no gay organization could organize or meet or use county facilities, including firemen, police department, public streets, public parks. It wasn't until 2015 that that ordinance was rescinded, which spawned the organization that you helped start, which was Tampa Pride. And people are shocked that in a major metropolitan city, Tampa is like number 12 in the United States in metropolitan basis. Their Pride event in Hillsborough County did not start until, I believe, 2016. So there's a history pattern of discrimination in Hillsborough County. Do you feel or see the connection here that this continues?
We started Pride, I think it was back in 2015 on the vice president of Pride.
15.
And we had to get it back on the ordinance to where we could have Pride again in Hillsborough County. The discrimination back then was really bad, and before that, years before that. Now with Bob Buckhorn as our mayor, it's incredible. I mean, he just makes gay people feel welcome in Tampa. He's a great mayor, but you know, there's certain people in the state that don't like the gay people, LGBTQ.
So I want to make sure that I'm clear in terms of your delineation. You're saying that you have great support in the Tampa City government, including the mayor of Tampa, but this is an issue in the county health department where you see the discrimination against gay.
The Hillsborough County Health Department is operated by the state of Florida. It has nothing to do with the county.
So I've got a question for you, Kurt. I'm clinically misophobic, which most of you might know more as germophobic. And you've expressed why you feel they would target you, but why won't they release the information for the other businesses that have been stated to have had hepatitis A at their locations as well? What are your feelings and thoughts on that?
I feel they came after us because we were gay, and the other restaurants weren't.
I can't say that I doubt that for a second.
Well, we're sitting here at It's Happening Out
In
really
shock.
in shock over that statement, Kurt, because this is not 1996.
Right.
This
Yeah,
is
and
2019.
Kurt, when you first opened Mary's, knowing that this was a gay establishment, did you ever consider back then that this might be a challenge you would face, or did you think we were well beyond that at this point?
I thought when I opened it up, actually I was doing it because of the economy was really bad, and a lot of my friends that had worked for me in the past has been out of work, and I thought it was past us, and so I opened it up thinking it's going to be great.
Do you regret opening with this conclusion in Hillsborough County and Ybor City in Tampa? Do you regret your commitment to Hamburger Mary's in Tampa?
Never.
Thank you.
Kurt,
Hamburger Mary's is an open air restaurant for open-minded people, and everybody is welcome. Everyone is welcome. And I opened it, and I was amazed by the customers that come into Hamburger Mary's, from little kid to, we did a 98-year-old birthday party there. She'd never been to a drag show. It's just amazing the things that I saw while opening Hamburger Mary's in Newport City.
Kurt, like Al, full disclosure and full transparency, you and I are personal friends. And I don't have a lot of people that I call my friend. My friend circle is very, very small. And when I say friend, I mean Kurt is the type of person that he will actually sit there and employees that are sick, he will pay for their health care out of his own pocket. He will pay for funerals of employees, and many have died from the Hamburger Mary's family. He is a pillar of our community. So I want to ask you, Kurt, on a personal level, I know because you've talked to me almost every day, but can you tell our audience what is the personal impact that this has had on you and your family at Hamburger Mary?
Well, I didn't know until last night when somebody brought to my attention from GLAAD that my Hamburger Mary's, 5 restaurants, I was the largest LGBTQ employer in the country.
Wow.
That's amazing.
My employees meant everything to me. My employees were not my employees, they were my family.
Yeah.
I loved my family, and I did everything I could do for my family, from health to pageants to paying their rent, paying for their Christmas, doing everything I can do to help my family. And that's what it meant to me. A lot of people know what I've done for the community. I've never been one to pat myself on the back for what I've done, but I've done a lot for a lot of organizations. And with the help of my family, we raised all the money to help the community by the sales at Hamburger Mary's.
Both straight and gay.
Both straight and gay.
Everything. I want to provide an exclamation point to the observation that you made in GLAAD's note that your franchise group of Hamburger Mary's was the largest gay employer in the United States.
Yes.
That's breathtaking to me. And with that in mind, what would you like to see happen next?
I've had a lot of mixed feelings about opening again because of the trust of the state. I really don't trust them. You know, our new governor yesterday, I don't know if you know, but he filed an executive order against discrimination, and he left out the LGBTQ community.
Yes, he did.
Shocking.
No,
so I really want to open up for my family. I want to put everyone back to work again, and that's my only goal, and that was my only goal when I opened up in 2009.
What does that mean for LGBTQ businesses moving forward? What do you think that will result in? This kind of decision.
Hamburger Mary opening, or
no, this happening to you, your business being, I mean, I can say targeted. I know that you feel that way, but I can't see it any other way. What does that mean for other LGBTQ businesses moving forward, especially as the largest populator of that community in terms of business? How can we be safe moving forward?
What's the chill effect on other gay-like businesses in Florida, in Tampa, around the country? Could this happen to other places, Kurt?
To anywhere on the drive.
It can happen anywhere. But I didn't know that the health department, when they came in, I didn't know I could have told them to leave. I didn't have to listen to them. I didn't have to sit there and go through everything I went through with them. I could have told them to leave.
So that's your advice to other businesses moving forward, that that's legally allowed?
If you feel that you're being wronged by the state of Florida when they're doing your inspections, you're allowed to call your lawyer, and you're allowed to make them wait until your lawyer gets there to protect yourself.
That is very
And
valuable.
I wish I would have done that.
It's a lesson to everybody.
Know your rights.
Wow.
Kurt, I'm curious in terms of the specific steps next. I've watched the blogs, I've watched comments. We posted an original story about you and Hamburger Mary's, and literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people came onto our story post. The most prominent comment that is being made is you have a lawsuit and you can take legal action. And that's completely clear in this conversation. But beyond the legal action, which I'm sure is going to come next, what is it you would like to see happen from a situation from this? What have you learned that can be instructive to the entire gay community? Not just in Tampa, not just in Florida, but we have a national and international audience. What have we all learned from your experience?
That you need to stand up for your rights. You have to protect yourself. I learned the state needs to be educated. Definitely, the employees at the state health department need to be educated.
Kurt, I'm curious, with 10 years of supporting hundreds and hundreds of charities in Tampa Bay and what Hamburger Mary's has done, we had a slide of the impact, the creation of the Gabor Coalition, which is the business coalition in Tampa, the fundamental organization of Tampa Pride. I mean, in every possible way, you were a ground zero moment in the gay community, in your community. With everything that you have seen, are you bitter about being a member of the gay community and what you have done because of this event?
To be honest, I'm very disappointed in the gay community. I'm very disappointed because I thought they would come out and they would support me. All the organizations that I have supported since 1991 when I moved here, even starting at TAN in 1992, and all the organizations that I've been part of, you know, from bowling to softball. I started the softball, Suncoast League, and it's been going for many years. I'm a Hall of Fame of the softball. I was just hoping that the gay community, the LGBTQ community, would have backed me and supported me more, and not just stand from afar, but come into Hamburger Mary's and stand up for me and show us their support and their love.
So how do we do that? How can we help? How can we as a community help?
Right now we have 3 restaurants open in Tampa Bay. We have Brandon, St. Pete, and Clearwater. Daytona's still open. Orlando and Jacksonville. Let's go out and support them. Go out and show them the support.
And for people,
that all of us support Pride. All of us support the organizations, and all we're asking now is for your support.
What about
we're asking for everybody's support?
Kurt, you have your story is very inspirational, and I think one of the things that we say, and we're going to talk about this in a minute when we let you go, but the state's health department representative saying where you fish where the fish are. We're going to ask this question: was that a gay whistle? And I can just tell you, for all of our national audience benefit, when we watched that health director say that, the entire room gasped that statement was made. So, you know that there's going to be support. Kurt, we want to thank you very much. We'll be following this story very, very closely. We wish you all of the success in what is pursued next. And of course, we want to echo exactly Kurt's call, which is to support Hamburger Mary's, support our gay businesses, support our gay community. There is gay community. It's the very heart of this show. It's what we try to exhibit.
I'll be performing there in Clearwater on Tuesday. Come on, check it out.
Oh, really? You're going to be there? Oh, that's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And if you're not nearby, then support it online. You can.
There's Hamburger Mary's all over the country, and Kurt, we wish you all the luck in the world, and we'll be following you. And thank you for making.
Can I just say one last thing?
Of course you can.
We have a GoFundMe page for Hamburger Mary's, and all the money that we raise for that is going to go towards all the Hamburger Marys that have lost their jobs, that are still trying to find work out there.
Good.
It's on my page, and it's on Michael Wilson's page.
Kurt, be sure, that's excellent. Kurt, be sure and share that with It's Happening Out and with Power and me, and we'll make sure that we propel that information. Again, we'd like to thank Kurt King and Hamburger Mary's. He's made this his first stop from the reporting that has taken place. Shocking as it is, this was his first live national television interview.
Very, very well, Kurt. You managed to get through
all day.
You managed to get through with just a little tear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm crying more than he is.
Kurt, thank you very much, and thank you for joining It's Happening Out. Okay, guys, what do you think?
This is ridiculous. I think this.
I have so much to say. I was very, very reserved and measured when talking to Kurt, but the guy's name is Douglas Holt. Okay, Douglas Holt. He is the director of the Hillsborough Health Department, and he's the one that made the statement about fish where the fish are. He basically said that it happens so much in the gay community, and basically that's where we need to be looking. And he had an opportunity to sound the alarm on all the outbreaks or the alleged outbreaks, and he chose not to. He chose to target Hamburger Mary's, and I am just hoping and praying and I'm very hopeful, and I'm quite sure that Kurt and Hamburger Mary's is going to sue the yelping dog shit out of this guy and out of the state health department. And you guys have to understand, this is not just Hamburger Mary's problem. If it can happen to them, it can happen to anyone.
Exactly.
Well, and to that point, that's to be honest with you, besides the personal affection that I have for Hamburger Mary's and Kurt King, that's the thing that is really astounding to me, because Director Holt at Hillsborough County Health Department, Mr. Holt, I hope you're watching us right now, and the county commission that I understand is getting ready to talk to you on why you did this. Hopefully we'll play some of what is said here on It's Happening Out. The thing that really astounds me is he basically implies that because we're gay, we do things that cause disease, and an example, hepatitis A.
This is a bad sequel to the HIV and AIDS crisis and the blaming of the LGBT community.
It was like a dog whistle to me of the 1980s, which I lived through, and the situation of what I hear him say is, this is about gay people, but gay people can be working at 7-Eleven or McDonald's or at Walmart and contract hepatitis A, and that does not make it a business organization hepatitis A event. And so as a result, this affects all businesses. And I was shocked in terms of his callous attitude that gay men, specifically men that have sex with men, which is the exact phrase he used, categorized us all into the same boat to say we carry hepatitis A. That's where the fish are.
It's absolute ignorance, and I would say, and this is going to be what would Jesus do moment. I'm going to reach out to Douglas Holt and give him a little piece of advice. Don't do no more interviews without a lawyer, because every time you open your mouth, you sink your own shit.
Make it worse.
Yeah, exactly.
I can guarantee he's dirtier than a lot of people that are at this table as well.
Any other thoughts by what we have watched this week?
Yeah, he claims that these comments he made were not homophobic. And you know what? Yeah, sure, because you're not scared, you're hateful, and you're dangerous. At this point, this is a danger to the entire community to perpetuate the idea that we cause disease or that we are to blame for a health crisis.
Very well put.
Does anybody worry that this could extrapolate into any other community in America? That this kind of discrimination is sitting just below the surface and it could bite us in the ass at any moment?
I think that goes for any kind of discrimination.
Because he stated as part of the key demographic, not just fish with a fish, he said homelessness and drug use, right? And if you look across the United States, it is not the gay community. I mean, you look at San Francisco, you look at many of the major cities, homelessness and drug use is widespread across all population demographics.
Yeah.
Right.
It is not exclusively gay.
Yeah.
So it was clear to me, he used that, and then he went fish where the fish are. Clearly it was targeted from a gay perspective, because if the CDC and the health department say that it's hepatitis A is homelessness and drug use, you can't leap from there to the gay community.
Wait.
It doesn't work that way.
Didn't you last week compare, in terms of adoption, being gay to being a drug user?
No.
Isn't that I'm pretty certain that was a comment you made last week on the show in terms of Oklahoma adoption.
I made a comment about it was about being faith-based, right?
Faith-based organization.
He did, but in Joe's defense, he did walk it back on.
That is true.
Yeah. You know, what surprises me is that it's 2019, guys.
That's what shocks
and you would think that every time you think that we have moved so far, that who the hell would think this way? You always have a dickhead that shows himself.
Right.
To be,
well, that's why activism is still a thing. Stop being complacent. Realize that these things can still happen to us and do still happen to us.
It's such a good point. And number one, we talked about this in October and November. The number one way to overcome this is to go to the polls and vote. Yeah. We have a governor now in the state of Florida that is now already in his first 2 days exhibiting homophobia. And it's because he was elected and defeated a very pro-LGBT candidate by a narrow razor's edge.
And we now see the results.
And we see the results of it. Okay, we'll follow Hamburger Mary's closely. I want to move on. Yeah, let's move out of what we see here And let's talk about acting gay. A very interesting thing has happened in Eric McCormick from Will and Grace fame. He was criticized recently in many blogs about being Will from Will and Grace. Eric McCormick is straight, and he plays the gay character Will. And many people suggested that the straight actor shouldn't portray a gay person in a television show. Recently, Darren Criss, this week, just won the Golden Globe for portraying a character that was gay, and Darren Criss, who is Glee fame, portrayed a character that was gay, and Darren Criss said he would never play a gay character again because he would be taking a potential job away from a gay person. What's going on here? Can't you act gay?
I've got a lot of thoughts on this. Firstly, it's ridiculous for Darren Criss to even make that claim after having 3 very prominently gay roles. It would have been great for him to have said that before he won a Golden Globe or before he was at these accolades. At the same time, I've been cast probably more as a mass murderer than anything else. And remember that.
That's not surprising.
But yeah, thank you.
Kind of like the Trump role?
Yeah, the Trump role, you know, it's because I'm a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. It just comes naturally to me. But the thing that I have a problem with is that where do you draw the line with it? I mean, Ruby Rose, who played Batwoman in the CW's version of the Justice League, isn't lesbian enough, according to a lot of people, to be a lesbian character. I don't know where this line is that we have, that you have to be so much this or so much that. And I know that I would have been very sad to have not seen Laurence Olivier's version of Othello. And I know that that's race, and it's not the same thing as gender identity or sexual orientation. But where do we put the line? If you're the best actor, you're the best actor for it.
And the point to your observation, which I want to make sure that we direct it to, is this is not an issue in the straight community. This is an issue in the gay community. Gay people saying you can't because you're not, and that's what's being discussed.
I think that's in many ways wrong, because we're not giving due to the straight actors that it took primetime big names to bring stories like Philadelphia and these others to the screen, to bring awareness to the gay community and to gay life and to the issues we face. Many of those films would not be as big as they are without those straight actors playing those roles, because a gay actor, it would never have gotten
I think
funded.
that's kind of why this conversation has started now, because now that we are in 2019, as we've said, and we're supposed to be past that point, now it's a matter of turning those roles over to the people who have been denied them in the past. When these characters that we all come to know and love are job opportunities at the end of the day. And so if only straight people get the straight roles, and then if only straight people also get the gay roles, and the gay people get virtually no roles, that's employment discrimination that has taken place for a long time. So now it's a poignant point to say that turning those roles over to gay people, or especially trans people, when it comes to non-trans people playing trans characters, etc. That's why the show Pose was such a big deal.
I fall somewhere in the middle. I feel that we shouldn't turn gay roles over to gay people just for turning them over to their sake, for their sake. I feel that you should, now that we are at a new dawn and a new age in our gay rights movement, now we should afford gay talented actors the opportunity to fight for those roles and to get those roles, unlike what we used to do before. However, if the best man for the role ain't gay, give it to the best man for the role.
Yeah, I don't disagree
to
with
that point, I just want to ask, yes or no, do you agree that the gay role, television or movie, it's completely acceptable that either a gay or straight person plays that role? Do you agree with that? Either one could play the gay role, and that's completely okay?
Yes.
That's a convoluted
yes
question.
Or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's where we are in terms of playing the gay roles. Let's move on to a game. A game that we call My Favorite New Thing.
Oh, we need it.
We ask the panel to tell us about some of the new things that they're learning, that they're enjoying. So, who wants to tell me about their favorite new thing?
Me.
All right, you.
So my favorite new thing is, drumroll, volunteering.
That's like when he said books before, by the way.
That's my favorite.
A little bit.
I have been throughout my life and throughout my career illustrious. Very selfish, I will admit. very self-indulgent. And
Way
it's
to call
always
out your own bullshit.
about
I'm
me,
here for
me,
that.
me.
A little funny.
But I've recently really discovered the joy of volunteering and giving and being a part of something bigger than myself. And I will credit my Brister, Sean Palacios, aka Kitty Meow, for who is in our studio audience.
Wait, I want to ask,
You
does
guys saw him 2
anybody
episodes
think
ago?
that Sean Palacios and Power Infiniti are the same person because we never see them in the
A
same
lot of people
time?
think that. That's why. That's
No,
why I make it a point. to
I'm not
mention
racist.
her.
They changed their voice just enough to...
Well, I don't know.
Get
Sean
away with
had
it.
Sean had a green version of that a few weeks
Yes,
ago.
but Sean tries.
Oh, and Sean wore it better.
Well, Sean tries to be more white than me with his fake. You know that accent ain't real because
Man, spotting words.
that accent ain't real. That Bohemian accent
Yeah,
is
to
not
everybody
real.
else, but when it's to me, it's
He's talking like a Yankee.
Yeah.
As per last week, I've never heard Sean be a bitch. And as per last week, that was exactly Power's resolution to not be, and it was broken in one day.
Yeah,
So,
one
I don't know. They can't be the same person.
Trust me,
They're not the same
way to
person.
distinguish us is she is the nice one. I'm not.
I don't know how this became the Sean
But
Palacios
Sean
show.
actually,
Back to...
he actually inspired me because he is on the Pride Fort Lauderdale. He's one of the executive members of the Pride Fort Lauderdale committee, and I was so inspired watching him tour last year and do so much and give so much. And I decided that I wanted to do that too. So I volunteered with Tampa Pride, and I'm very, very, very happy to be a part
I
of
saw a photograph
something
in
that
social
is bigger than
media
me.
of a little name tag that said Tampa Pride Power Infiniti.
That's
You
right,
have a
they
little
gave me-
name tag. That's great. Somebody else.
So
That's great.
what about when you volunteered at the
That's-
hurricane shelter with me
that's-
just last
All
year?
right, so
Wait.
on the
Oh,
same
yeah.
note, I'm going to talk about my new favorite thing, and this is courtesy of our production team that taught me this. There's a new, I've talked about characters all the time, sure. Okay, so there's a new X-Men that is the
you hear
first
his
Marvel
voice go
drag
up like a
queen.
little boy
and,
in puberty?
and its name, and her
If
name,
you
I don't-
pull out an X-Men doll, I'm going to vomit.
I
right
don't
now.
have one because they don't make them yet, but
Okay,
it's a
right.
first drag queen character in Marvel, and it's
Yes.
a superhero. And despite the fact that seems extremely impractical, because why would you want to tuck or wear breasts or makeup before you go out to save the world? I don't get any of that.
Okay.
But how amazing is that for just representation in comic books?
Okay.
The character's name is Shade, and she can create portals in the dimensions of pocket space with her flip
Isn't she
fan.
black?
With her fan?
Yeah,
Yes, she
with
is.
her fan. She's black, I guess. I only
They
saw
made
one
Power
slide.
Infiniti,
I think I want to play her
yeah.
in the most.
She resembles you, girl.
All right.
But
Can
how
you
cool
do
is that
that?
for
Can you do the
representation
fiction
of the
thing?
LGBTQ community?
Again,
That's incredible.
thank you, America, for your continuing contributions to the GoFundMe of trying to have Napoleon speak some kind of English language. We're really appreciating it.
We're trying to teach you the colloquial language of the millennials. We're keeping you young.
favorite new things. Anybody else?
My favorite new thing, the prior week was a new baby.
Yeah.
This week is I have several of my children coming to visit me this weekend.
Yeah.
First time to visit Dad in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
We're going to have a wonderful time.
Yeah,
I'm
congratulations,
very, very
Granddad.
excited.
Thank you. Okay, another favorite new things. You
We
have
will be
anything?
shielding them from coming to
Do it
watch
again,
the
do
show.
it
I'm
again,
sure.
do it again.
My new favorite thing is the queering of Disney characters. Because
Disney
yes, even more than they already are. Let's at least put
Can
that
they
out
be
there.
more?
Some of you may have seen our creative director Frank for our Siren Song Sundays put out a little ad with a curvy, bearded, luscious bear Ursula.
Oh, and Ari, our version of boy Ariel.
It's funny that you say that.
gosh, she was very
Recently,
cute.
I got into a conversation with somebody that's very important at the Walt Disney Company at Walt Disney World. And I didn't know this, but Walt Disney World specifically, in one location, is the largest employer of gay men in the world.
That's cool, but this
More
is my
gay-
new favorite thing.
Okay.
So, unlike we can't be Disney World, sorry, but on Tuesday, February 19th, next month, I'm helping to co-produce a production called Dirty Disney. We have, it's going to be
saw
really
that.
cool. We've got, you did, you're all good, because you better be there. We've got drag queens playing the muses from Hercules and doing the musical numbers throughout the show.
By
and
the
then
way,
we've got,
I'm not a huge fan
we've
of the
got
plugs
gender
on top
fucked.
of the plugs.
We've
on top
got
of the
gender
plugs.
fucked Disney characters, a girl genie, and I will be playing Scar are.
Okay.
So,
And by the way, America, I nominate myself for the tribute because I want to be a part of that. That
okay,
sounds
well,
amazing.
we are auditioning Leather Pups back at the Ramada Hotel.
Okay.
And then maybe also you can be in the show, too.
Thank you for the plug. Thank you for the plug. My new favorite thing
so
is
much.
my next job.
Whatever.
Thank you
I had to
very
sit here
much.
with Al
Okay.
last week and you weren't here. How was I even able to
All
handle
right.
it?
Let's move on. Favorite things. Thank you very much. I'm not sure I learned anything, but thank you. All right.
Common statement.
So, a little more serious as I look at Aaron. The D.C. Circuit Court in this last week sided with the Trump administration to continue the ban against trans military men. It's working the process of support of the executive order from the president to eliminate transgendered representatives in the armed services. What do y'all think is going on here?
Well, I mean, first of all, let's not let Trump get too excited. They overturned one preliminary injunction. That doesn't have any effect on the other three. Don't look at my note cards. I don't like when you look at my note cards. It makes me self-conscious. So there's no major change yet. But it's poignant. Basically, when Trump put his tweet out, because that's how we make laws now, to saying that he would ban any participation of trans people in the military, that was found unconstitutional. So the former Secretary of Defense put out this new plan saying, okay, well, we'll allow trans people. You just don't, as long as you don't come out as trans, you don't have gender dysphoria, and you don't have any plans to transition. So basically this injunction said, bullshit, that's still a ban.
Well, you got two,
and that's what's been overturned.
2 out of 3 are correct. It does not say that you cannot come out as trans.
The wording might be different,
the other two are correct.
Okay, so you can't have gender dysphoria, and you can't have any plans of transitioning.
Okay,
so
but
that's
your point
essentially
is
the
what?
same thing.
Well, first, you had asked me before how to LCR. LCR's response was we
Log
disagree.
cabin Republicans.
Log cabin Republicans. And Jerry Ann and I communicated with her.
Jerry Ann is the president of Log Cabin Republicans that apparently Joe is on a first name high T basis with. All right, got it.
But Log Cabin Republicans issued a statement against Trump's policy last June and continues to advocate for inclusion of trans in the military.
Right. I mean, from what I understand, the log cabin.
Hold on. Let him.
So no, they advocate for the inclusion of that. The two things that I'm aware of from a Trump perspective that those two items seem to take into account is the existing examples of men coming into the military in order to have gender surgery paid for by the federal government and have that transition
What's
funded
your point? I'm lost.
You're saying that people are not allowed to be trans and join the military because they're only using it for the money. Is that what you said?
Correct. That's what I understood.
So the ban is only about the money of paying for the transgender surgery, is what you're saying?
It's having the psychology, the hormones, the whole thing being process of that transition going on while you're in the military.
So medically necessary procedures, whatever, medically necessary healthcare is covered for anybody in the military. So basically, and all of that you're referring to, the psychiatry, hormones, surgeries, are deemed medically necessary for trans people. So basically, we don't want to provide your health care because you're trans.
No,
that's what it comes down to.
It's too expensive.
It shouldn't matter. Cancer's expensive too.
No,
I don't see.
I don't disagree with you at all.
The process of transition requires, if you're going to be on active duty or you're going to be overseas or you can't accommodate some of the stringent requirements that I understand.
That's not the whole of the issue.
Okay.
And the whole of the issue at this point is that Trump wants a ban on transgender people. He's trying the courts are trying to frame it as not being a ban, but basically all it is a transgender don't ask, don't tell.
Well, he feels some kind of way because many trans are a lot braver than he was when he had to be serve his country. They don't dodge, they don't draft dodge, and they don't let me speak into Aaron. My mic keeps coming off. They don't draft dodge, and they don't claim bone spurs as an issue. But I just want to point out and I'm just going to revel in this, that you did say a few weeks ago, you try to sling this bullshit about how Trump is pro-LGBT.
He is.
And that ain't pro-LGBT.
No.
That's discriminatory. First of all, he's not. I didn't get to say anything because Al had to move on, so I didn't get to say anything. But he's not pro-LGBT. He never was. And he is the leader of his party. The party has took the most anti-LGBT platform in their 2016 RNC. And so he has to own that.
Saying that the
Once again,
healthcare
it
of
falls
one
at his feet. He has to own
Right.
that.
And to say that the health care of one group of people is too expensive when everybody else's is not is discriminatory.
What do you
Plain and
think?
simple.
My question is what will happen next? Is this issue ultimately going to get all the way to the Supreme Court?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's going to go to the Supreme Court.
It's just ridiculous that we can enact a draft for people that don't want to be involved in the military. I was actually proud of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, because I never want to join a president that tries to force me into the military, and yet we can deny people access to it that actually want to fight, that want and are there morally or in terms of morale to fight for our country, because I could not defend anything that Trump wants to defend in our country or pretend to.
There are other. I mean, you have to go back to all the things that can disqualify an individual from serving in the military. Okay.
Let me know them all. Maybe
I don't know them all, but
The comparison can't be made. It's not an accurate comparison, plain and simple.
Which I'm having difficulty in understanding your point, frankly, because the issue of medical necessity of support of your medical issue would be true for anyone else except, in this instance, trans. And so the very nature of that means that the policy is discriminatory because the president is making the decision that this is not a medical necessity, so therefore you shouldn't be in the military. That is the point.
Why don't you join the military, serve your 4 years, exit the military, and then go through the process of
Why should you have to do
transition?
that?
That's Don't Ask, Don't Tell for trans people. It's the same thing.
It's all
yes,
right.
it is.
It's all right, Joe. You ain't got to agree with the president on everything.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm unclear about the answer, and I'm going to move on only because I have hope that it's going to continue to move on. It's going to get to the Supreme Court, and then we're going to have real clarity of what the interpretation of the law is. Let's move on to
Maybe if
something
we
a
have
little
real clarity
lighter.
on the definition
I
of
want to
gender
talk
before we
about
can start
this
there.
really incredible hashtag that is circulating called hashtag Hot Jafar. I don't know if you've heard about it. It was part of your new favorite things. Aladdin is coming to the big screen. Now, I'm not sure. Well, I'm talking about a live-action version of Aladdin. And Will Smith is going to play the genie, the Robin Williams role in the animated role. He's going to play the genie. Who cares? Basically, is my reaction. Before we start, let me show you a little preview of Aladdin.
Wait, is the genie gay or straight? We need to clarify.
He doesn't have a gender or sexual
Is
identity.
Will Smith gay or straight? Can we clarify that first?
Oh.
He's fluid.
That works for me. You were saying.
Are we in video?
Are we in?
No.
We are not.
there's a phrase going around that I hope Jafar wins, and to anyone that says that, you've obviously not seen the sequel to Aladdin, which is The Return of Jafar, and I can't wait to have that be the video.
Which was arguably better than the first
It was definitely better because it featured Jafar, and if obviously we've seen the video package, we want more of that video package. I mean, as I said last week, sexy
You mean
is
the
sexy.
package of the package?
I mean, I could just sit here and daydream for like 15 minutes about who he is and more pictures and videos, and I cannot wait for that to come out.
Tunisian and Muslim, which is interesting.
And let's talk about that for a minute because there's an amazing thing that's going on. I remember hearing 2 years ago, Aladdin couldn't be made today because of everything that's going on with us in the Middle East and just our fear of Muslims as a whole. And it's
Disney,
ridiculous.
by the way, Disney is greater than any country in the world. They can do whatever. It's Disney Studios and Marvel Studios, including Star Wars and Pixar.
Anyway, Napoleon, you were making a good point for a change.
Yeah, it's interesting because people. Thank you. I know the old white man's always trying to silence us all, isn't he? I'm Jewish. I can say that. So. No. He's obviously very attractive. If you're out there and think that he's not, you're wrong. I'm just going to say that right now. But what does it mean for Disney to be able to create this movie today? Because right now we're in a very anti-Muslim era. So to have something where we can propagate just an amazingly attractive person and say, hey, part of my brand that might be turned off normally is actually really into this in some way. It allows us to maybe overcome some obstacles within ourselves in terms of sexuality, in terms of discrimination, in terms of all of it. And I'm very curious to hear the rest of your thoughts.
I say, fuck Aladdin. Where's Jafar's magic carpet ride? So he can show me a brand new world, honey. Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been working on those lines?
Oh, since last week, since we were supposed to talk about
We
this.
were going to talk about it last week. That's right. I had to keep it in. Here's the reason why I had to keep it in. One of the things that
wait. You can't say that in a gay audience.
That's right.
It's always supposed to be kept in, Al. Okay. It's always in your pants. Me too.
Got it.
Me
got it,
too.
Got it. All right. One of the reasons, and Power absolutely hits the bullseye. We were going to talk about this last week, but Power talked about 9 hours on whatever topic he talked about for 9 hours, and we couldn't get to it. One of the things that I think is
I
really...
read Joe about the wall.
Yes.
The buck stopped with that bitch.
Right. One of the things that I think is really, really interesting about this is all of the hashtags that are talking about, and all of the comments that are talking about gay men being surprised that they are attracted to Muslim men as a representation of him, of Marwan being so attractive. And I thought, what's the big deal?
Well, it's because we don't have Tumblr to look up hot Arab guys anymore. I don't know why you're just learning this now. It's very sexy.
I don't
very
understand.
sexy.
I'm surprised that that's a thing as far as people being
surprised.
Because I personally have always found them absolutely beautiful, and not just the men, the women as well. I mean,
part of it is an interesting observation. Part of it is because among the most repressive areas in the entire world still for gay is in the Middle East and in the Muslim religion. And as a result, I think for Americans, white waspy Americans, frequently they disconnect to the Muslim world in terms of thinking about the men of that region. And this preview of the Jafar character elevates them back into it of going, wait, we're reconcentrating on this region of the world. I think that's what's going on.
We'll concentrate there.
Is it sexy to y'all?
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yes. I mean, I always grew up wanting to look like Jafar anyway, so I'm a little torn on do I want to be you or do I want to fuck you?
That's my gay question every day, Aaron.
I hear you.
Have you seen any of the Dwayne Johnson movies about Egypt and all the men that are in those?
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no,
any other thoughts about hashtag hot Jafar? I love the comment. You start with it. It's appearing a lot. I hope Jafar wins, which defies the very nature of the film. Jafar is not going to win. It's a Disney movie, even live action, but gosh, you're rooting for him.
Maleficent was the main character of the first one of these live action spin-offs. I mean, is it? I mean, maybe we could get a Jafar-focused version. I mean, who plays Aladdin? I don't know. All I remember is seeing Jafar. Like, legitimately, that's all I recall from this. Yeah. Oh, and John Oliver is Zazu, so that's, of course, fantastic.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing this. Disney's going to have an amazing year, no question about it. Marvel, Disney is going to be having 2019 is going to be amazing.
And it's not. It was all a hoax. If there's no Ariana Grande, Henry Cavill, we can all rest
We are
easily.
so sad.
We can sleep well.
That was all a hoax. That video package, everything was.
God is
all
real.
a hoax. So
just
there's
like
no
the
Ariana.
just like
But
the
however,
DNC in the election.
However,
Sending out
we
fake social
love
media.
that Ariana Grande crushed Henry Cavill into the dirt. We're all happy about that, right?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. All right, let's move on. Another big thing that's happening, trending a lot this week, is about apology. When you make a mistake and you say you're sorry, why don't we accept it? Especially in the gay community. Why don't we accept the apology? Kevin Hart was removed as the host of the Oscars, as everyone knows.
He removed himself.
True. But likely it would have come to that conclusion because of many homophobic comments that he made
a decade ago,
a long time ago, and we're showing you some of those in terms of the comments that he made. He came onto the Ellen DeGeneres show, and Ellen DeGeneres was very clear in her support of him. And Ellen DeGeneres, arguably one of our leading activists in the LGBT community, referred to them clearly talking about the gay community, that they were a small, vocal, very vocal community, and they should be ignored. And the point that Ellen DeGeneres was making is, we think your apology is acceptable, and you should be the host of the Oscars. Those comments created a firestorm. And eventually, her brother even came to her defense of saying, well, you're attacking one of the leading voices in America for LGBT rights on the cover of Time magazine saying, I'm gay. It makes us wonder, in this era when someone makes mistake, and we're watching it in the White House almost every hour, when you apologize, why isn't that enough? Why aren't we willing to accept the apology? What do you think?
I think I would just want to, if anybody watched last week's show, I talked about gays.
A huge number, by the way.
Hey, gays just wanting to sink their claws into people and shame them and rip them to shreds. And I wonder at times, this is the same thing. He made an apology, and he's like, "Get over it. I apologized. I'm more informed now." Why is it we can't do that? Is it because the gay people feel like they were hurt so much they just want to hurt somebody else? I don't understand why we cannot accept an apology and love somebody.
Yeah,
How many of us have said something 10 years ago that we regret?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I think it goes back to some basic kind of kindergarten things about, do you mean your apology and things like that. He gave kind of a whiny little brother apology about it, let's be honest. But at the same time, I think we got bigger bigots to barbecue, like the ones in the White House or like the fucking Florida governor. So that being said, I don't speak for the whole entire gay community, and Ellen DeGeneres doesn't speak for the whole entire gay community. I think that's where she was overstepping, is to say that everyone forgives and loves you except for this little group of people that, fuck them, they're just being loud. You can't, she doesn't get the license to say that for everyone.
Okay, well, I'm going to be daddy at the moment and go, folks, grow the fuck up, okay?
I would like to say, and this has been a big thing on my timeline, and I debate this almost every single day with my good friend, Miss Leslie Quick, shout out girl. But I think actually there are 2 or 3 separate issues here. The first is, why are we as a gay community and a society so quick to condemn, not forgive, be judgmental? I actually agree with you, Joe, that I think that
the first time America.
I think that that we feel that we forget that he who has not sinned cast the first stone. None of us are in a position to judge somebody else, unless of course what that person is doing is affecting us. And then when that person turns around and says they are sorry, say, well, we don't forgive you. Well, you know what? All somebody can do is say that they're sorry. After that, it's up to you if you want to accept that forgiveness or not. But in the end, it's between that person and their Lord.
That's right.
That's the first thing. But the second thing is Kevin Hart in particular. Here is my issue with his apology. I feel, and I always say this, and I'm going to say this time and time again on this show, the way you fuck it up is the way you fix it up. The way you fuck it up is the way you fix it up. And if he was so vocal and took the time and energy to attack and be an enemy of our gay community, then I don't understand why he doesn't take Don Lemon's advice and take that same time and energy to become an ally. That's where I think his apology went wrong. Because he did apologize, which I take his apology as sincere as he brought it. But then when asked, why don't you become an ally? You know, because the words that his platform, he's one of the biggest artists in the world. He is probably one of the biggest blockbusters in the movies. So the same words that he took to attack and that can influence somebody to get gay bashed, get killed, or commit suicide, he could take that same platform and promote something positive and really push us as a community forward. But he said, that's not my journey. That's not my dream. That's not for me. But it was for you to go and talk all that shit.
Wait, he denied doing community service or doing things for gay.
He said I don't feel that I need to be an ally because that's not my journey. That's not my life's dream.
Oh.
But apparently your life's dream was to bash us. So
I need that shot about my opinion being changed.
Is an apology just not enough for you? Does somebody have to do something else?
Ain't no apology enough for me. If, like I said, the way you fuck it up is the way you fix it.
No,
so for example,
you're saying an apology is not enough.
No, it ain't no apology enough. Ain't no apology enough when what you did was more than your apology. For example,
I don't understand that.
If you attack me publicly, I don't want no private apology.
But he apologized. He apologized in public.
Okay, but what I'm saying is,
why is that not enough?
Well, so why is it not enough for him to? Why can't he take that? Like I said, take that same time and energy and effort that he put into attacking us and say something positive.
Let me rephrase
and do something positive.
Let me rephrase the observation back to you and try to be very crisp in your response to it. Why isn't it enough for him to apologize and then say, I'm not really going to do anything else because perhaps he really is homophobic and his journey is to learn or not learn from his homophobia. But I apologize that I expressed these words out loud and I'm sorry about that, but I still feel the way I did. So therefore, I'm not going to do anything else.
Yes, and let me answer that. The reason is because then your apology is because you expressed them out loud.
Yes, true.
And because you got caught.
Exactly.
That ain't no apology.
Exactly.
Okay.
No,
all right.
So the funniest thing
you're saying somebody can apologize, but unless they change their core belief, you're not going to accept that apology.
No, of course not. Of course not. What are you apologizing?
Wait, well, then I am saying that.
How can you judge?
Then what are you apologizing for?
How can you judge? So you're judging his heart.
Yeah.
You're judging his internal motives.
You just asked me if somebody apologizes but does not change their core beliefs. What are you apologizing for then? For getting caught?
The words.
Yeah.
Yes.
For being apprehended for it.
So if you're apologizing because you said the words publicly, but you feel like, then to me that to me means you're just apologizing because you made the mistake of saying it publicly.
So you want more money.
If you don't change, you didn't learn anything.
So you're just continuing to perpetuate gay judgment.
You damn right.
Okay, overlies gay judgment.
Wait,
as if you can't learn and change, then you can't sit with us, girl.
If you ain't changed anything, don't come to me with an apology until you change something.
Both
apologize
points.
when you've changed your heart and when you've changed your soul.
Can we agree with the Oscars
doesn't work that way.
It works that way with me.
So now we're not going to have a host this year. We're just having other clips of other people. And the one thing we can all learn from this is that even if that's the truth, we can still call the Avengers to come forth for the Oscars because that's what's going to happen. They're going to reassemble for the Oscars. That's literally what's going to happen. They're our saviors.
The conversation is really interesting to me in terms of how we reduce this down to very opposite points of view in terms of accepting the apology. I think it's very interesting in terms of what we just talked about. I want to move on and talk about our commitment to On the Road to Stonewall. Each week, It's Happening Out makes a tribute to the Stonewall riots in 1969, and we tribute the gay icons that have helped propel us to the celebration on June 30th, 2019. Tonight, we tribute Quentin Crisp. He is not American. He is English. He is a writer that wrote a very important novel in 1968 called The Naked Civil Servant. And that novel was one of the big inspirations to many people standing up that caused the Stonewall revolt the following year of it being published in 1969. And he was very instrumental in terms of propelling openness of homosexuality in the community. He watched the Stonewall riots and the time period of the riots and was very critical of them. And for approximately 20 years was not supportive of it, and then later recanted and realized, I made a mistake there. But he was still a leading voice that caused the riots, and then proposed many different comments about the Stonewall riots. And we've prepared a few of them tonight, and hosts are going to tell you some of his famous quotes. Let's start with Power.
One of them, if I have any talent at all, it is not for doing, but for being.
Aaron?
One I really related to as a trans person and a gender fluid person. If, in an expanding universe, time is on the side of the outcast.
Napoleon?
Number one for me. Number two for me. Exhibitionism is like a drug. Hooked in adolescence, I was now taking doses so massive they would have killed a novice.
I knew you were going to pick that one.
I love that. Joe?
My favorite was, I take it to be axiomatic that people are revolted by witnessing the shameless gratification of an appetite they do not share.
Interesting. Quentin Crisp, you should read the book. It's Aaron and I just talked about this at dinner. It potentially...
Because he discovered books, America. That was last week. He's got 7 whole days he's been reading.
Anyway, that is our tribute on the road to Stonewall. Plan on it. Big celebrations coming. Our 50th anniversary celebration on June 30th, 2019. Next, we want to talk about something that was near and dear to my heart. A gigantic discussion that took place on Facebook. We have a host meeting on Thursday afternoon, and we talked about it. We reported last year about the surveys, about the number of tops and the number of bottoms. Tops identify, based in surveys, at only about 20 to 30% of the gay community. 70 to 80% of the gay community identifies as bottoms. So it sparked a conversation when a major bathhouse in New York City and many bathhouses in Canada started on January 1st by giving discounts at their bathhouses for their memberships to just being a top. And the reason they did this is basically they were having problems balancing all of the men that were coming to the bathhouse in terms of the number of tops and the number of bottoms that were coming. And the comments were fascinating because so many people sided with this policy. And the policy support basically came down to, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was also a direct quote of many people, well, they should do it because the tops are doing all the work anyway.
And I call bullshit on that part completely.
What, that I was paraphrasing? Because that was like 2 minutes.
No, I call bullshit.
What do you think about tops and bottoms and the tops getting a discount?
And when I start with that, it's going to be a good... My question is, who do you have to fuck to get in and get this discount? I mean,
who's proving it?
Pretty much, I don't understand exactly how does this work. I mean,
they put a tracker on you.
I mean, if it was me,
oh, and not here, by the way.
I mean, if it was me, I would fake the moves until I got in, and as soon as I got in,
you mean like real life?
Wait. Okay, so for America's knowledge, question at this table: who here identifies as primarily a top? If you have to choose top or bottom, like,
are we really doing this?
Yes,
right
we are
now?
doing this because I want to know. Like, that obviously means that you identify as a bottom.
I identify as somewhere in between.
So you're copying it. This or that power, this or that.
Wait, if you knew how hard It's Happening Out has worked to get to Napoleon going one or the other, You would laugh
But
hilariously.
the wonderful thing is we have to abide by those rules when we're playing the game. We're not actually playing the game, so I don't actually have to answer. So, the point is that any bottom can get in there and say, well, bitch, I want my discount, you know?
Yes, right. They can trick the rule of the discount. That's true. But the point of our conversation is, what do you think about their strategy of having to market in that way?
They've done this in Berlin for a very long time. This is not just because they're doing it now here for the first time. Great, we're America. We finally got it. But like they've done this in Berlin, which is much more fetishly oriented.
Yeah, I gotta say, I actually understood when you said that was the reason. I was like, well, all right, I get it. I mean, like I said, it sounds like my weekend. But the primary problem there is the 70%, 80% identifying as bottoms. That's because all the tops are pretending to be straight. I'm just saying.
Are you saying Al is pretending to be straight?
No, I'm saying that all these missing tops, and the reason there's such an imbalance is because we're looking only at the gay community and missing all of these tops who claim to not even be gay or claim to be straight.
I just thought this was the Democrats trying to bring all the Republicans to the other side.
Yeah, whatever.
What does that have to do with anything?
The question is,
because the vast majority of the Republicans I know are all tops.
By that statistic, by that number, because
if you walk into a bar on Wilton Drive, honestly, I've heard this conversation. I've been here 3 months. I've heard this conversation, I bet, at least 10 times. The joke among a group of gay men is that they're all bottoms.
Right.
They all talk about it in that term.
You guys should live my life. Because, hey, everybody seems to want a piece of this ass.
All right.
Listen, there's a little
tough to me.
There's a little website I won't say because I don't want it to get shut down. But there's a whole section in their personals section of straight for gay, straight men looking for gay men. And they all happen to be tops.
Okay,
I'm just saying.
Did you post Power's conversation last week?
Right,
If
that's what I was
walks like a duck and talks like a duck.
That's exactly the point I'm referring to.
Last
That's
week.
exactly what I'm
Power
referring
said it
to.
about 19 times. We got it. But that's not the issue here. The issue is the marketing decision of the Bathhouse is to go, we have got to better balance for our customer service.
Straight bars do it by giving discounts to women.
To women all the time. Isn't it funny that in straight bars they'll do it for women who are more identified as being feminine, but in the gay culture we identified tops as being dom for some reason. It's incorrect. But tops and doms are identical for some reason, and that we give them the discount, not the guys that would be the...
I don't know, all the tops I know are feminine.
Wait. The issue,
you know Al,
I like a blouse, girl. I like a feminine top.
The issue,
I'm certainly not talking about you, don't worry.
So you did have a crush on somebody at this table until you got to know them, huh?
Wishful thinking. Yeah. Love you like tooth decay.
The issue here is really at the heart of the focus of better balancing relationship of gay men. And really, let me push it right out there.
No, that is not appropriate language for right now.
The joke, but truth behind, at least the point of discussion behind the joke, is that so many gay men are bottoms because they are a bit lazy. Is that true?
Well,
hens why doms, top and bottom,
discussed.
super separate
They would
things.
rather do that than to work.
That has nothing to do with it.
I'm telling you, the blogs are full of that observation.
And they can be wrong. They're full of that wrong observation.
Wait, the internet can be wrong?
Okay. But wait, I want to try to see if I can find somewhere the plane can land. You'll vehemently disagree with that observation.
I do.
That was.
You do.
Yeah.
That bottoms are lazy?
Oh, yeah, that's not true.
So the issue is because there is a preference, and that's your preference, and you like your preference, and that's it. You're very good at your preference, or you're trying to be better at your preference, and that's it. That's what y'all are saying?
Yeah, there's nothing to do with laziness.
Okay, and so in the end result of this issue that's going on at the Bathhouse in New York and those in Canada is simply, it's a marketing decision for their customers of the people that are coming.
Yes, child. This conversation has been rode hard and put out wet.
Got it. All right. We're going to move on. I'm going to skip over. We're not going to do Tell Me Something I Didn't Know. We're going to talk about...
Never do. You called it.
It was a joke. Now we're going to talk about Tell Me Something I Didn't Know. We play this game each week and we learn something that we didn't know. So, somebody tell me something we didn't know.
Me.
All right.
Did you know that Dolly Parton once entered a Dolly Parton drag lookalike contest and lost?
Oh my
Was it to Adele?
Huh?
What, did she lose to Adele?
No, actually, actually, the drag queen she lost to was me.
Tell me something I didn't know.
Someone else.
Okay,
somebody else
I'm going to
jump in.
go with the fact that the top surgeon in the country for FTM, female to male top surgery, Dr. Garamoni, who actually did my surgery, is right here about 10 minutes from here. He's right here in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Saw that on Grindr.
Was that another?
I may or may not have found him on Grindr looking for a sugar daddy. What you want to know about him?
Was that another plug? by the way?
No, he makes plenty of money without my plug, I promise you.
Very good. Tell me something I didn't know.
I'm actually going to abdicate to Power for your next one, since you've been saving these up for the last 10 weeks.
Well,
Did you something else you don't know?
Oh, something else you don't know? That blondes with blue eyes can actually hold their liquor better than most people.
All right.
I don't know.
That's not shade. That's actually scientifically proven that blondes with blue eyes tend to be able to drink more.
We're quite superior at a lot of things.
Yeah, of course.
Despite your comments about Halloween, thank you very much. So,
Yeah.
all right, something that you might not know, since we're talking about how we're flagging tops and bottoms, I'm going to teach you a little bit about leather culture, just basic 101. So if you're going out and you're just having fun dabbling in it, try flagging correctly, which is telling other people if you're a top or a bottom in this case. The left side is a top, the right side is a bottom, so we know where you'll stand. And I want to make sure you guys know that it's not just for show. If you're going to one of these clubs and you want to pretend that you're the top and get the discount, have it on the left, okay?
Have what on the left?
Right.
That's how you flag it. It's to the left. Left means dominant,
flag.
left means top.
Okay, all right.
Flagging is how you tell other people who you are without having to say it, because
Okay.
who wants to talk to people?
All right, everybody's
We have
told
Grindr.
us stuff that probably you didn't know. We were going to talk, I can't tonight, we were going to talk about this 10-year-old drag queen phenom. We'll get to it next week. It's not time sensitive, and so I apologize, but we'll do that next week because of time. We're going to continue with our pool party. It's this Sunday. At the Grand, and we're not going to show you a video on it, but we are doing a pool party this Sunday, and we'll continue to do that weekly. So if you come to Fort Lauderdale, be sure and come down and join us at our Sunday pool tea dance
From
at
what
the
time to what
Grand
time?
Hotel in Fort Lauderdale from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now, we're going to play a game called This or That. And it's a game that Napoleon warms my heart by explaining so clearly. Power, please choose this or that. You have no other choice.
So, earlier in this episode, you wanted a GoFundMe or something for me not explaining, and now you're clarifying I explain it better than you. This or that, I explained it better. Let's just get a round of applause.
All right, let's give him a round of applause because he clearly needs it. All right, let's play this or that. All of us know the rules. We ready to start?
Yes.
You choose this, and please repeat this and your answer, or that and your answer. Age gaps are trendy. This, I would hook up with someone 15 years older or younger than me, or that, I'll stick to my own age.
This, I can't stand people of my own age. I would definitely hook up with people older than me.
Okay?
This.
Older or younger?
Oh, I would hook up with somebody older, and at my age, I guess I'd hook up with somebody younger too.
This or that?
I'm sitting between these two, so I'm going to say that.
Yes.
Somebody... Stop touching! I'm going to say that. Somebody my age, which is not you.
Oh my God. My friend.
Me too.
This or that?
This.
This? Older?
Someone younger.
Younger. All right. Question number 2. This or that? Fort Lauderdale is this. My type of city. Everything is so relaxed and casual. Or that. The people down here are way too laid back.
This, my type of city.
Also this, my type of city.
Wait.
This. I love it being casual down here.
Was the options were this, it's casual and I like it, or that, it's casual and I don't like it?
It's relaxed and casual
Or
as
it's too
this,
slow.
or it's too laid back.
That, it's too laid back.
My gosh,
It's
I'm
a
going
very
to
high-maintenance
agree.
city.
I'm going to agree with you. It is too laid back. Question number 3. This or that? When I am new in town, I tend to this. Go to places with great advertising, or that. Ask my friends where they liked to go.
That. Ask my friends where they like to go.
Yeah, that. I'm always taking somebody's advice on that.
I ask people and go explore myself.
Okay.
That advertising lies.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Question number 4. The elephant in the room. This.
Oh.
Even though I
Nancy
like
Pelosi.
Joe, I hold.
What about a donkey?
Sorry.
You can't talk over me. The elephant in the room. This. Even though I like Joe, I hold some of his views against him. Or that. I don't mind Joe's views. They're just his damn opinion.
This, I hold them against you. I'm not trying to joke or be shady, but yeah, no, I hold some of your views against you.
Okay.
We'll talk it out
This
one
or
day.
that.
I have to say this. Yeah, I hold some of the views against him.
All right.
But I'm still getting to know him.
This or that.
That, I really don't care what the hell you have to say. I'll hear it, I appreciate it, but it doesn't affect me, apparently, as per the first shot that I did not take.
And I'm going to say that. I don't mind Joe's views. They're just his damn opinion. And do you have any comment on this question?
I don't give a shit.
Okay. Good. Wait, I'm sorry. What did you say, Power?
That's
All right.
the Republican way.
5.
That was fun.
5. Hot take. This. Trans people should try their best to pass as the gender they identify with. Or that. Gender fluidity, bitch.
That. Like what? What?
Gender
That's a
fluidity, bitch. Hot take.
Gender fluidity, bitch. Like
That,
that's not our problem
this,
that someone else
or
wants to be who
that.
they are.
See, he doesn't understand.
I
the
said
rules.
that. No. Listen to me. I said that.
Okay.
I clearly said that.
Your mic, you don't gotta yell.
Would you repeat the this part again?
This is trans
to get past
people
the
should
hearing
try
aid.
their best to pass as the gender they identify with, or that gender fluidity, bitch.
As I
You're
sit
last.
and wait, because come on, I
Yeah.
dare you.
No, that gender fluidity, bitch.
Okay.
Be
This
who
or
you
that.
be who you are.
That.
Don't give a shit about
That
anybody
gender
else.
fluidity.
Clearly.
And
That I think it's a major issue that we are constantly perpetuating, that trans people should try to look like cisgender people. We look like who the hell we are.
it's an interesting observation because it is very prevalent. Question number
Yeah, it's a
6.
question.
It's a topsy-turvy world. This. Tops are more valuable because there are fewer of them.
We just do this.
We
Or
did.
that
Today.
bottoms rule the roost. Who would the tops fuck otherwise?
Hello.
Say what? If what rules?
Bottoms rule the roost. Who would the tops fuck otherwise?
Their
The
hand
second,
or-
the second,
This
sec-
or that?
second sentence is going to be my answer. That.
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 Okay. This or that?
What was the this again?
Oh man, y'all
Sorry.
got to listen
I heard, but
carefully.
irony, folks.
Tops are more valuable because there are fewer of them, or that bottoms rule the roost.
That.
That. We're
This.
going to work on playing this game next week, by the way.
This.
Okay. And
Smile. Notice the smile.
One or the other girl.
I say a top is always going to be more valuable to me. So.
there you go. This.
Fair.
All right. Question number 7. The service industry. This. I make sure to tip my wait staff and bartenders well. Or that. Sometimes I prefer to give them more than just the tip.
Yeah. That's not where I thought that second part was going at all.
I feel like I don't even understand what the question
This
was.
or that. Yes, you do.
All I got is a tip, so I'm going to go with this.
Tip them well, or I tip them extra well.
This or that.
This because
You would like that?
I would like that.
Okay.
So that is I want to fuck them. That I choose that.
Okay, very good. Next week I'll diagram the questions first.
Just use English. So you can
Question
find his
8.
GoFundMe at
Are we-
www.alizol.com/GoFundMe. Hashtag English.
8. Are we? See, the crowd here at Silver is laughing, and that really harms me tomorrow when I bitch slap Napoleon for this segment. Question 8. Are we biased? This. I do not mind dating anyone regardless of ethnicity. Or that. There is,
Ethnicity.
I know. I can never pronounce that word, and thank you for drawing attention to it.
Stome
That-
Delavari.
that there are
Delavier.
would somebody call the police because at 10:03 there's going to be a fight out in the backyard here. All right, that there are certain ethnicities I rather I'd rather not date. That's all you're
What
going to
did you
get.
say
Don't
about
ask me
sissies?
to repeat it. This or that. I don't mind or I do.
I don't mind dating sissies. Is that what you asked? I don't mind dating people even if they're a sissy,
Okay.
no matter what ethnicity
I
they are.
wasn't, okay, this or that. I anything or no. I have standards specific that I don't like.
You mean racial hang-ups?
Yes. Okay.
Thank
this
you.
or that.
This, I will date anyone of any ethnicity, especially
Okay.
if it's hot Jafar.
Hello.
Okay. This or
This.
that. This. Anything.
I'm an equal opportunity kind of guy.
Wait, are we
Only in
confused?
the bedroom though, not with healthcare.
If anyone of any whatever.
I'm sorry.
If anyone of any race fits my criteria of what I think is sexy, I'll date them.
And we learned a few weeks ago
Okay,
it was
all right.
gingers.
Okay. Question number 9.
It's whatever.
We only have 2 more questions. Thank you,
Please.
America. Only 2. Our girl besties. This. Fag hag is pretty offensive and it shouldn't be used. Or that. Girl, I love my fag hag. This or that.
I'm gonna say, oh God,
I'm gonna say I love my fag hag.
That.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
I love mine, but I prefer to call her my fruit fly. I think we should get away from fag hag.
So
this.
That's
let's
less
get away-
offensive
so
to
you're
you?
this.
choosing
Let's-
this. It's
yeah,
offensive.
let's get away from
Okay.
it.
Fly sounds
right.
offensive to me.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with that. I'm happy to call them my fag hag. I love people that love me.
This or that. That. Most of us.
But I do
okay.
like fruit fly better.
I'm more offended by the word hag. I think,
Okay.
really.
Our final question. Question number 10 of this or that. Decisions.
Oh,
Please
God.
don't interrupt me.
Choices.
Decisions.
Thank you, Tom.
This. Power is an amazing voice for our community. Or that. Boy, I wish we could hear from other hosts every once in a while.
Oh.
Rude.
I wish we could hear from other hosts every once in a while.
That? You're choosing that.
I choose this. I think power is a great voice for the community.
Great voice for the community. This or that.
I'm gonna go with this. I think power is a great voice for our community, and I'm happy to talk over you. So I know that this is, and you really. I mean, I can't get it. That's just such truth. You really are a great voice for our community, and you say things that need to be said majority of the time. And I really appreciate your point of view.
Usually in only 1 or 2 sentences. Thank God.
This or that. Which are you? You're a great voice for the community, or sometimes you overtalk the other
Well,
hosts?
she did vote for Ariana Grande.
Oh. Well then, I guess it's that. A lot of times I overtalk the other host.
And the answer from me is this: you're a great voice for the community. So, all right. So that's this or that this week. We want to thank Silver tonight. We're at Silver Nightclub on Wilton Drive in Fort Lauderdale. If you're in Fort Lauderdale, you want to come here. It's a great place. They have very good entertainment, and it's a great facility and space right in the heart of Wilton Manors on Wilton Drive. So that's our show tonight. Yes. We've talked about everything that we want to talk about, and we had a long interview over the issue of Hamburger Mary, so we went a little longer tonight to be able to accommodate it. We appreciate everyone's participation in that. We want to say goodnight, and on behalf of all of my friends at It's Happening Out and my friend Power Infiniti,
Farewell, children of the night.
Oh gosh.
and Aaron Phoenix,
Gender fluid, bitch. Good night, gender fuckers.
and my friend Napoleon, and he really is my friend Napoleon Plays, and he wants to kiss me.
That escalated quickly.
That escalated way too quickly.
Wait,
Again,
no,
me too.
I
told
on.
you.
I was
between
making the joke from last week when he kissed the doll.
That did
Was
not
that
translate. It
awkward?
didn't translate.
It was just as awkward.
It was definitely much more awkward. Speaking of awkward and awkward gay conversations, good night, Ellen DeGeneres. We still love you, even if that was a weird thing that happened. With
You
Kevin
don't
Hart.
speak for all of us, hon.
Yes.
Well, yes. She may not be the voice. I will still take it. I'm the white man. I'll still take it.
I've lost control. All
Good
right.
night, family. I love you all very much.
I don't think you ever had it.
Love him well.
And remember, America, It's Happening Out is very dedicated to the idea that there is gay culture and a gay community. And we're really trying to embrace it very strongly. So if it's important to you, remember, it's happening out. Good night, America.
Good night.